Hello and welcome back to the Resilient Kid podcast with me, Ashley Costello, psychotherapist for over 25 years, helping kids and families around the world. I was going to say locally, but actually, no, around the world. So I have clients kind of all ages. So psychotherapy is a little bit like nursing in the fact that you usually do kind of adult therapy first, you train in adult stuff, and then you specialize. So in my job, my youngest client at the moment is 5, and my oldest client is 83. So although the majority of my clients are kids and adolescents, I absolutely still see adults. At the moment, I think mine probably goes a third. So I have a third that in school. I have a third uni students that I see on Zoom, which is great. Love uni students. And then a third kind of adults or supporting families, which is really lovely. Now, if you ever have worked with me, you'll know that I work a little bit differently in the therapy sector. As in, most counsellors, most therapists, what they'll do is they'll get their client will come in. That session is confidential between those client, that the therapist and the client, and that's where it stays. Whereas because of my experience, because I'm a parent, because I have kind of carved out a model that I've seen that works the best, what I tend to do is absolutely that confidentiality is still there. However, if it is a child or adolescent or a uni student, and I feel that what they've just told me, if their parents knew or teachers knew, it would really help support them, then I would actively encourage us to share that with them. Because I think it's just really important as parents that we do get the heads up. Now, that also includes that sometimes after I do kind of 4 sessions with kids, and then I do a session with parents. And I will say to them, if you do this, you can support them. If you do that, you can support them. And sometimes that's challenging. It's really challenging to have to say to a parent, oh, I think we need to do it differently. But you know what? The parents who come to me, they are great. They are really, really good. They're already open to change. They're open to listening to what will help their child be happier, more secure, more confident. So I'm really lucky in that way. I am really lucky. So without further ado, let's get on to today's topic, which is tenacity and how we build it in our kids. Now, if you've got my book, Parent's Guide to Raising a Resilient Kid, there isn't specifically a chapter on tenacity, and that's because the things in tenacity I've kind of broken up, but something happened this weekend. When I go corporate, when I go into companies and stuff like that, I'll talk about tenacity, but in the book I've broke it down a little bit more for us as parents. So something happened at the weekend, and it really highlighted for me how important tenacity is. And so I thought I'll share it with you guys today, because I think it's really important to have real life examples, because how else do we learn? So this weekend, my daughter, and most of you who have listened know that I've got a daughter and a son. My daughter's 16, she's started college, and she plays rugby. She loves rugby after being a dancer all her life. I know, tell me about it. And we never signed up to stand on the pitch in the rain on a Sunday morning. However, she loves it, so it's what you do, isn't it? On Sunday, she was invited to go to the Irish Qualified. Now, this is the Irish, let me get this right, Irish women's rugby team. Their youth section, so under 18s to under 23s, because they go right up to uni. It is the professionally paid coaches that come over to England and scout for Irish talent. Now, Irish qualified means you've got to have some Irish blood somewhere. Thank goodness for Irish grandparents. Dave's mum and dad are both Irish, and that's how Erin qualified for it. So they do it like a big workshop day, and you go and you train with the coaches there, and obviously they're scouting. That's the whole idea, is that they scout for talent, for new talent to join the Irish under 18s in Erin's case. So we go, and she's very excited. Excuse me. I'm meeting my friend randomly in Leeds on a Saturday night, so we're staying over. On the Sunday, that's where her trial is, in Leeds, at Leeds rugby ground, which is great because it means Dave can take her in the morning, I'll meet at lunch, and then I'll watch her for the afternoon and bring her home. So that's the plan. Gets to 12 o'clock and I turn up, and as I walk round the corner, I see her sat down on a chair, ice pack on her knee, paramedic. And your heart goes in your mouth, doesn't it? Because you're like, oh my God, what happened? So walk over, and I can see that she's not crying, and she's okay. So I'm looking at Dave going, what the hell, what's happened? And Dave said there was this, as all the girls are coming off the field, he's seen this girl on the floor, and there's paramedics and coaches all around her, and he's like, oh, poor thing, poor thing, one of the girls is injured. And he starts to scan all the girls' faces and realizes Erin's not there. She must be the one on the floor. Anyway, they pick her up, bring her over, and what's happened is her kneecap, brace yourselves, not nice, kneecap pops out and pops back in again, very luckily. And they wanted to check that it's not her ACL. So an ACL, don't ask me what it is, I know it's some kind of ligament, is very serious, and it can mean, if you're not careful, surgery, and she'd definitely be out for months and months. Anyway, luckily it wasn't. It was just the kneecap popping itself out and back in again. And ice pack, paracetamol, the whole works, and she should be fine. After, she's got to rest it for a few weeks, but she would actually be fine on the day. Anyway, so all this drama is going on, and everything in me wants to cry because, bless her, she's done really well. I know how important this is, but also she's in pain. You're looking at your little girl, 16, taller than me, still my little girl, in pain. So we're chatting and stuff, and I'm like, how are you, darling? Does it hurt now? The usual. Anyway, we get her upstairs because it's lunchtime and it's getting a bit cold, so we get her upstairs, and once we're kind of away from the crowd and this paramedic and stuff, it was absolutely brilliant. She started to cry, and it's very rare for her to cry. She is quite tough sometimes, and I said to her, oh darling, are you okay? And holding her hand, and I said, what is it? Is it the pain? Are you in a lot of pain, or is it because you can't go back on this afternoon? And she said, it's both. And I said, okay. So we talked it through and stuff, and I was listening to her and listening to how she felt and things like that. And then one of the, after she was okay and stuff, one of the coaches came over and said, Erin, you don't have to stay this afternoon. You can go, don't worry. And she was like, oh, okay, thanks. And then as we're chatting through, just me and Erin, I said, tell me what it is. And she said, this was my chance. She said, I know it's not like, oh yeah, you're on the team or anything. She said, I felt like I played really, really well this morning. She said, but, it's my chance, and I feel like that chance is slipping away. I said, okay. I said, so what do you want to do about it? And she was like, well, there's not really anything I can do, is there? So I said, well, actually, there's lots. You can't play. No, I'm not going to let you get back out there and play. Of course you can. I said, but there's lots that you can do If it is that you want to be noticed, you want to, show them you're keen and you're interested, because, this injury didn't happen because she sat on the sidelines. It happened because she got tackled. So she was in there. She was absolutely in there and playing. Anyway, we chatted it through and she ended up staying. After lunch, she had lunch, and after lunch, there was a presentation by the coach of the women's team. And he stood up and he was talking about various different things, about the pathway to getting on the team. And some take 6 weeks to get on the team, and some can take 2 years to get on the team. But that they will keep their eye out and they will, come out to games and you can send videos and blah, 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 blah. And at the end, he goes, any questions? So, Erin, hands straight up. Can I send you a video of a match? Absolutely. When can I send that? Well, as soon as you like. Okay, thank you. So with that, they ask people ask different questions. And then after that, everybody's going back out onto the pitch. So Erin goes out onto the pitch. By this time, obviously, painkillers have kicked in. She's feeling a little bit easier. And she sits pitch side on the grass so she can see the girls and, more importantly, hear the coaches. And the coaches do no more but come over to her and say, Erin, come over here with us so you can hear us and you can watch it, but so that you're with us while we train the girls. Now, by the end of that day, they not only knew her name, which there was 20 girls there. They didn't know everybody's name by the end of the day. And I certainly don't recommend an injury to get known. But they chatted to her personally. They talked to her about her injury and how it's only temporary. They talked to her about the different pathways. She had a bird's eye view of the different techniques that they were using and the chat between the coaches. And she's got a plan. She's got a plan of, as soon as she's back, she's going to be videoing her matches and sending them through. And also, they said to her, if you've got a particularly good game, invite us down. We'll come. And she's got a festival in October that she's going to invite them over to. And so, even though that injury was devastating for her, she didn't give up. She absolutely didn't give up. And yes, that's partly down to resilience. And as you know, resilience can be built. And the whole premise about the book and these podcasts is to help your kids build their resilience. But you know what? It would have been so easy for her to go home. Now, don't get me wrong. If the injury had been worse, she wouldn't have been there. She would have been in hospital, or we would have brought her home. So we were lucky. But I counted no less than 4 times she got offered to go home. 4 times, one of them being the hubby. Now, of course we have to offer that. Of course we have to offer that. But actually, the fact that she didn't want to, the fact that I walked her through it, said, okay, what else can we do? If you're in pain, and that's why you're so upset, then yes, of course, go. But it wasn't. She was more upset about not going out there. And so we talked through, okay, well, what else can you do to get the coaches to notice you? So the questions, the sitting and watching, the chat, she was talking to them. She probably got more one-on-one time from the coaches and even the admin lady, Lindsay, who was just amazing. She got more one-on-one time with them because she was persistent, because she had that tenacity and thought, I'm not going to give up. And she had that not because she didn't want to go home, excuse me, not because she didn't feel rubbish and just thought, oh, this is it, I want to go, But because we walked her through it, because we shown her a different way, because we talked about, getting her to problem solve. Oh, okay. So how else can they notice you? Because you're not going to be running on that field this afternoon, and the questions, the staying around, the sticking power is what she came up with. But we walked her through that. And I think that's really important, especially at times when we get overwhelmed with the responsibility of getting parenting right. And my mantra is we only have to get it right 30% of the time. And things aligned. If this had been injured, she would not have been there. Absolutely. If she'd have been more injured than she was. But we only have to get parenting right 30% of the time, and they still turn out okay. So it is hard having that weight of getting it right sometimes. But we've got to look at resilience. We've got to look at those factors like confidence, responsibility, empathy, courage, tenacity, and we want, because life isn't easy. There is always change. Always. That's friendships, relationships, school, college, subjects. Their day-to-day changes, doesn't it? Life changes. We hear about climate change all the time. That's a scary issue for kids. We hear about the war in Ukraine, natural disasters. All of them are scary for kids. They are change. And yet, when Erin went out on that field on Sunday morning, she had it in her head what she was going to do, how well she was going to do. And she knew she was in with a shot. There was 20 girls there. Yeah. 20 girls in the north. The day before, there'd been 45 in the south. At 65 girls, she's still got a shot. Whether she's the best or the worst, there's still a shot there if she takes it. And I think sometimes we don't lean into the uncomfortable. We don't want to lean into the uncomfortable. Everything in me wants to bring her home, put her in the bath. At 16, put her in the bath, make her a hot chocolate, put her on the couch with a blanket. And yeah, we did all that. We did all that afterwards. But actually, there's going to be times in her life that I'm not there. I know that she was waiting for me to get there before she let out those tears and how she felt and stuff. And that's not because she can't do it with her daddy. She absolutely can. However, I think mums sometimes just have that innate ability to connect in very quickly, and they feel safe, don't they? Now, there's going to be times I'm not going to be there. 2 years she's going to be at university. She's going to be at university starting without me, and it's going to be hard. There's going to be change. There's going to be things that she doesn't like. But I think, showing her, walking her through it helps her to see there is another way. It's not all hopeless. It's not all like, oh my God, it's the end of the world, And also, the other thing for her, and this is what I said, but actually this is a really good tip as well. As I said, you're only young. You're the youngest here. She's only just 16. She must be one of the youngest there. You're going to have other opportunities, not all about today. And actually, one of the coaches said to her, because I expressed this to the coach, and the coach said, you'll have 5 chances. You've got 5 years, haven't you? Under 23s, you've got 5 years to do this, And actually, that's a really good tip, is sometimes what we say, they don't always take on board, do they? But then if they hear somebody who they admire or somebody who means something to them, like this coach, it's reiterating what we're saying. And I always think that coaches, teachers, tutors, if they reiterate what we're saying, it holds more gravitas, it holds more weight for the kids. and also backs up that, yeah, actually we know sometimes, we do know. I know often, especially with teens, they don't always take what we're saying. You have to say that, you're my mom or you're my dad. So yeah, so for me, it's around not just walking them through it, but kind of, as a parent, leaning into that uncomfortableness, leaning into, this is hard, she's hurt, I just want to wrap her up in cotton ball. But actually, what's best for her? What does she want? And okay, if that's it, I can take it, I can delay that for a little while. And actually, let's show her a different way. Let's walk her through it. Now, I don't often share examples with my kids. I do sometimes on the newsletter and stuff, but I just thought this was so important. And she knows I'm sharing it. And by the way, I have to get permission, obviously. But yeah, I think sometimes we don't want them to feel uncomfortable, and we don't want to feel uncomfortable. We don't want to, everything in our brains as human beings will turn away from that uncomfortable feeling, that scary feeling. And actually, sometimes it's about tenacity in our kids, but it's also about tenacity in us. Letting them take those risks, letting them be a little bit more independent, helping them be a little bit more independent, but also helping them walk through that uncomfortableness. Do you know what? In the end, she had a great day, absolute great day. She loved it. Yes, she was in pain a little bit, but nothing that paracetamol didn't, help with. She's on crutches this week because she has to walk around college. She normally walks 40 minutes to college with her mates, and she can't do that. So obviously it's lifts, but she's got crutches to get around. And actually each day, we're on Wednesday as I'm recording this, and each day it's getting better and better and easier for her. So I reckon tomorrow she'll be off them. But yeah, just be aware of your own uncomfortableness and try not to shy away from that sometimes. That's it for today. So thank you very much for listening. You know where I am, Ashley at theresilientkid.co.uk. Check out theresilientacademy.co.uk. Check out the book, obviously, A Parent's Guide to Raising a Resilient Kid. I think Amazon have got it on offer at the minute. Or you can message me and I'll send you one out. Or any local bookshops. And that doesn't matter where you are in the world, you can go and order from your local bookshop. Take care, everyone. And if there is a question that you want answering, message me. Let's do this.